The bank smelled of lemon polish and old paper. Fluorescent lights hummed softly, like bees trapped in glass. Morning sun spilled through tall windows, turning dust into glitter. He stood in the line like everyone else. Plain gray shirt. Faded jeans. A wristwatch with a scratched face. No one looked twice at him. At the counter, the manager's voice floated above the murmur. Confident. Trained. Almost musical. Next, please. The man stepped forward and placed a slim leather card holder on the counter. Inside, a simple debit card. No flashy gold. No platinum glow. Good morning, he said. His voice was warm, patient. I'd like to make a quick inquiry. The manager, Mr. Zuffer, according to the name badge, smiled in that polite way people do when they're already tired. Balance inquiry? Yes. Of course, he said, tapping keys. You can use the ATM, you know. Saves time. The man smiled. I prefer people. Machines don't ask how your day is. Zuffer chuckled. Fair enough. He slid the card into the reader. The screen flashed. Processing. The man leaned in slightly. Lowered his voice like he was about to share a secret. I'll pay you double if I have a balance. A few heads turned. Zuffer looked up. Confused. Suspicious. Amused. Excuse me. If I have a balance, the man repeated calmly, I'll pay you double what's in there. A snicker from the next customer. A scoff from someone behind. One woman whispering, who says that? In a bank. Zuffer laughed. Loud. A sharp, impatient laugh that cut the air. Sir, if you have a balance, you owe us money? Or we owe you money? What is this, some kind of joke? The man didn't flinch. His eyes were gentle. A promise. Zuffer shook his head. All right then. Let's see. He tapped again. The system word. The printer clicked ready like a tiny camera loaded with film. The man glanced around. Observed everything with quiet attention. A security guard adjusting his belt. A child pressing nose to glass, staring at a rotating fan. A coffee cup on the floor, half empty, still warm. He breathed in. Long and slow. The screen changed. Zuffer's shoulders relaxed. Found you? He started reading. Then he stopped. Silence. The kind that stretches thin and threatens to snap. Zuffer swallowed. Took a second look. The numbers stared back. A line of zeros. And then more zeros. Then figures that made his mouth go dry. He felt the room tilt, just slightly. The man's eyes crinkled kindly. Balance. Zuffer blinked. One moment. He printed the slip with trembling fingers. The paper slid out, soft and warm. He stared at it longer than any slip deserved. When he finally handed it over, his palm was damp. The man read it. Nodded. As if he were reading a grocery list. You're shaking, the man said gently. Zuffer exhaled. This is quite a balance, sir. A smile. Almost playful. So. Do I pay you double? Or do you pay me double? Zuffer tried to laugh again, but it came out thin, embarrassed. Sir, forgive me. I thought. I know, the man said. You thought I was joking. He looked past Zuffer, toward the frosted glass door of the corner office. Is your branch head in? Zuffer straightened. She's in a meeting right now. Do you need her? The man's gaze softened. Soon. He slid the slip back across the counter as if handing over a leaf. "I'll need a manager's check," he said calmly. "And before that, I'd like to speak with one of your tellers." The young woman with the braid. Zuffer turned. Sana, the teller with a long dark braid, was counting bills at window 3. "Is there a problem?" he asked, suddenly careful. The man shook his head. "No problem. An opportunity." The air changed. Even the humming lights sounded quieter. He tapped the counter lightly. "Shall we?" he whispered. Why did a humble stranger with a massive balance ask for the teller with the braid, and why offer to pay double? Something, or someone, is about to be tested. Sana had the gentlest hands in the branch. Customers noticed. Babies stopped crying when she counted money. Old men smiled when she said, "Allah apko barkatta." She had a careful way of folding receipts like tiny letters. When Zuffer called her over, she tucked a loose strand behind her ear and came quickly. "Yes, sir." "This gentleman," Zuffer said, his tone shifting, respectful but unsure, "would like to speak with you." The man nodded. "Assalamu alaikum." "Walaikum assalam," she replied, eyes curious. "How can I help?" The man met her gaze. Held it. Not in a strange way. In a grateful way. "I came last week," he said. "To open a small account. You were at the window." Sana tilted her head. "I'm sorry, sir. We see many people." "You were the only one who looked at my shoes and still smiled," he said softly. Her eyes flickered to his shoes now, worn, clean, ordinary. She remembered. He'd held a paper bag. He'd been quiet. He'd thanked her twice. "You told me," he continued, "that accounts are more than numbers. They're stories. When we protect money, we protect someone's hope," you said. Sana's cheeks warmed. She didn't remember saying it aloud. But she believed it. He placed the printed slip on the counter and covered it with his palm. "I want to make a transfer," he said. "But first, I want to ask you a question. And I promise, your answer won't harm you. Not in any way." Zuffer cleared his throat. "Sir, we have protocols." The man raised a gentle hand. "This is about kindness," he said. "Not policy." Sana nodded slowly. "Ask."
The man looked around the hall. People were listening now, you could feel their breathing sink. He spoke quietly, like telling a bedtime story. "If a customer comes to you with more need than money, what do you give first?" Sana didn't look at Zuffer. Didn't check for approval. "Respect," she said. "Then clarity. Then a plan. And if they have nothing to deposit? I'd still give them a path. Maybe a free workshop. A savings envelope. A phone call to check on them. Something small. But something certain." The man smiled. His shoulders softened. "So you remember the small things." "The small things," she said, "are what people carry home." Silence. Somewhere, a stapler clicked like a tiny metronome. He lifted his palm and revealed the slip. Zuffer's eyes darted. Sana glanced down, and froze. Her breath hitched. Her hand tightened around the pen. "This is," she began. "A balance," he finished. "A story." He leaned closer, his voice even softer. "You had a customer yesterday. Elderly. Thin hands. Smelled like rose water. She stood at your window for 12 minutes while the system lagged. You offered her your chair. You wrapped her tattered passbook in tissue so it wouldn't tear." Sana swallowed. "You saw?" "I listened," he said. Zuffer looked from one to the other, trying to follow. The man straightened. I made a promise, he said, turning slightly to include the room. If I have a balance, I'll pay you double. Murmurs. Raised eyebrows. The security guard shifted. Double what? Zuffer asked. The man's eyes sparkled. Double the kindness you've given. Sanaa blinked. Sir, that's not necessary. Maybe not, he said, but it's needed. He placed a small envelope on the counter. Its paper was thick, softly textured. For training, he said, for snacks during long days, for the elderly who forget their reading glasses. No names. No spotlight. Sanaa touched the envelope like it might flutter away. Why me? Because you make this place softer, he replied. He turned to Zuffer. And because kindness deserves structure, he added. It needs a budget. A ledger. A policy. Zuffer forced a smile. We certainly encourage good customer service. The man nodded, patient. Service is duty, he said. Kindness is culture. He glanced once more at the frosted glass door of the branch head's office. Through the blur, a silhouette moved. A meeting ending. He exhaled. The person I'm waiting for, he said quietly, isn't your branch head. Zuffer frowned. Then who? The man smiled with a weight that felt like history. You'll see. The envelope is only a beginning. If the person he's waiting for isn't the branch head, who wields the real authority here, and why is he testing the room's heart before revealing himself? The line had grown. People were openly watching now. Phones hovered, not recording, just ready, in case this turned into a story to tell later. A delivery boy in a faded red jacket leaned on his bicycle inside the door, pretending to check his messages. A mother hushed her toddler with a biscuit. The clock above the counter ticked 90 seconds louder than it should have. The branch head stepped out. A crisp sorry, a calm face, eyes that missed nothing. Everything all right, Mr. Zuffer? Zuffer straightened, palms flat on the counter. Yes, ma'am. This gentleman is making an unusual request. She turned to the man. How can we help you? He bowed his head slightly, respectful. I'd like a manager's check. And I'd like to create a small fund through this branch, a kindness fund. She paused. A kindness fund? A line item, he said. For small acts. Bottled water in summer. Loaning a pen without snatching it back. Printing a form for someone's shaking hands. Someone chuckled in the back. Not cruel, just skeptical. The branch head studied him. Sir, we're a bank. Not a charity. He smiled. Then let this be an investment. In trust. Zuffer's mouth twitched. The room seemed split between those who rolled their eyes and those who leaned forward. The man placed his cardholder on the counter again. I'll seat it, he said. And I'll double any genuine kindness shown here today. That's when a voice rang out. Sharp. Dry. Aimed to wound. The man wants to pay double, a customer snorted. Does he know where he is? This is a bank. We charge double. Laughter rippled. It stung, even for people who didn't laugh. The man didn't reply. He only turned his head gently and let the laughter die on its own. He watched the joker with a calm curiosity, like someone studying a wave instead of drowning in it. Then he spoke. Soft enough to invite quiet. Once, he said, I stood in a line just like this. I was 13. Holding my mother's passbook. A man laughed at her accent. She smiled anyway. She asked him, do you keep your wealth in your throat? He stopped laughing. A hush. A shift. The fan rattled once and stilled. The branch head's eyes softened. We can explore a community engagement line, she said carefully. But there are procedures. Of course, he nodded. Let's begin with names. He extended a hand to Zuffer. What does kindness look like at your window? Zuffer swallowed. Efficiency, he offered weakly. Efficiency is good, the man said. But do your customers feel smaller or larger when they leave you? Zuffer's jaw tightened. Sir, with respect, our targets, our KPIs. KPIs, the man echoed lightly. Key people indicators. How many walked out less afraid today? He turned to Sanaa. And you? What does kindness look like? Choice, she said quickly. Letting someone breathe between signatures. He nodded. Good. He looked at the crowd now, as if the ceiling had dissolved and the sky was watching. Kindness doesn't slow money, he said. It lubricates it. The delivery boy coughed a laugh. The word felt new, correct. The man tapped the counter again. A quiet rhythm. I made a promise, he repeated. Double the kindness shown here today. Not in cash to individuals. In resources that make kindness easier. Zuffer's patience thinned. He forced a chuckle, one more try to reassert the stage. So if I, say, offer a smile, he said, you'll buy us a coffee machine? If the smile reaches your eyes, the man replied, I'll buy you mugs. A real laugh this time. Softer. Kinder. The branch head exhaled, a decision landing. All right. Let's sit in my office. We can review options. The man shook his head gently. Not yet. One person is missing. Zuffer looked around, baffled. Who? The man's eyes drifted to the security guard by the door. The guard rustled, surprised. You, the man said. You haven't spoken. But you noticed the mother drop her coin, and you kicked it back to her shoe without making her bend. The guard's ears pinked. Just doing my job, sir. Exactly, the man said. And that's why you belong in this conversation. He glanced at the clock. The second hand skipped. It's almost noon, he murmured. Soon the city will get louder. Let's decide before noise steals our attention. He picked up the printed slip. Folded it neatly. Slipped it into the cardholder. Bring me your objections, he said softly. Bring me your doubts. But also bring me your fairest definition of kindness. The branch head lifted her chin, intrigued. And if we do? I'll show you who's been listening, he replied. The room is now a circle around a mystery. What happens when the missing piece arrives, and what truth will, the listener, reveal that flips the whole day upside down? The glass doors slid open with a sigh. Cooler air washed in. With it, a woman in a navy blazer. Practical shoes. A leather folder hugged to her chest. The branch head blinked. Regional audit already? The woman smiled. Not audit. Observation. Zuffer stiffened. Sanaa folded her hands. The security guard straightened like a flagpole. The woman walked to the counter, eyes scanning faces like pages. She looked at the man in the gray shirt last. Her gaze landed. Held. Softened. Sir, she said quietly. Shall I? He nodded once. Please. The woman turned to the room, her voice clear without being loud. I'm from head office, she said. I was asked to watch, not your numbers, but your habits. Your eyes. Your hands. Your pauses. Murmurs rustled. She lifted a page from her folder. Yesterday, at 3:17 p.m., a teller said to an elderly woman, "Take your time, Amma." At 4:02, a manager said to a delivery boy, Bike Thori side PE rock low, with no please, no glance at his face, only at the security camera. At 4:24, the security guard held the door for a mother with a stroller. He even moved the rug so the wheel wouldn't catch. The security guard stared at the floor. The woman lowered the page. We measure risk, return, and reputation. Today we measure something else, how we make people feel while they trust us with their lives on paper. Zuffer cleared his throat, reaching for familiar ground. Madam, if this is training feedback, we can schedule. Not training, she said. Truth. The man stepped forward. He took the card holder, opened it, removed a plain metal card, no logo on the front. He flipped it once between his fingers, then held it up so it caught the light. May I? The woman asked. He nodded. She took the card. Turned it around. The back bore a simple engraving. A tiny crest. 3 letters. The branch head's breath hitched. Zuffer blinked rapidly. Sanaa's hand found the edge of the counter. The woman looked at the room. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, not dramatic, just honest, meet Mr. Rahim, our bank's CEO. Silence didn't fall. It floated. A weightless hush. Zuffer's face drained of color. Sir, I. The man, Mr. Rahim, raised a gentle hand. It's all right. Someone dropped a pen. It clattered and rolled, knocking softly into a chair leg. The delivery boy's mouth formed a quiet "oh." Sanaa's eyes filled. Not from fear. From relief. She had felt him kind. Now she understood why his kindness felt practiced. It had roots. Mr. Rahim looked at Zuffer and didn't look away when things got uncomfortable. You laughed, he said. Not as accusation. As observation. Zuffer nodded, small and slow. I did. Why? I thought, Zuffer swallowed. I thought you were making fun of us. Of the system. Of me. Thank you for telling the truth, Rahim said. Now tell me, would you have treated me differently if I'd worn a suit? Zuffer closed his eyes for a breath. Opened them. Yes. Rahim nodded. So would most. Now we know. He turned to Sanaa. And you, did you treat me differently when you thought I had nothing? No, she whispered. I didn't know. I just couldn't ignore a human being. Good, he said softly. Then don't, even when you know. He looked around the room, the glass, the polished counters, the clipped pens chained like small tethers. This place holds people's tomorrow, he said. We earn interest on their yesterdays. Let's not bankrupt their today. The branch head found her voice. Sir, if you wish to establish the fund, we will. Rahim nodded. Yes. Start with this branch. 10 lakh to begin. Match any genuine act of kindness with resources that make it repeatable. A murmur, then a hand shot up. The delivery boy. Sir, he said, what is genuine? Rahim smiled. The kind you do when no one is watching, he replied. The kind that doesn't ask for a selfie. Laughter, this time easy, clean. He looked at the security guard. What do you need to keep people safe and soft at the same time? The guard rubbed his neck. A second chair, he said shyly. For those who can't stand in line long. And maybe, a jug of water near the door. Done, Rahim said. He turned to Sanaa. What do you need? Time, she said. 30 extra seconds per customer without pressure. Then rewrite the target, Rahim said, glancing at the branch head. Count completed calm faces, not just completed forms. He placed the card back in the holder. Closed it with a click that sounded, somehow, like a promise being locked in. And now, he said lightly, eyes twinkling, about paying double. The mask is off. The CEO's challenge becomes policy. But what does pay double really mean in a world trained to price everything? The final test is still ahead. They sat together at a small round table near the window, Rahim, the branch head, Zufar, Sana, and the security guard. Sunlight pooled on the wood like warmed honey. Outside, the city throbbed, horns, vendors, footsteps, life. Rahim set the envelope between them. Double, he said, tapping it once. Not money for applause. Money for momentum. He slid the envelope to the branch head. First rule, anonymity. No names on the wall. No photos. Kindness is not a marketing plan. She nodded, a smile tugging despite years of caution. Understood. Second, he continued, choose small levers. A chair arrests pain. A pen reduces fear. A printed guide removes shame. Sana's eyes sparkled. We can create first-time visitor kits, form samples, a simple map of windows, Urdu explanations, a list of free workshops. Rahim grinned. Exactly. He looked at Zufar. Third rule? Zufar met his gaze, steadier now. Measure how people feel when they leave. Ask them in a sentence. Not a survey. Are you breathing easier? Rahim nodded. Yes. The security guard cleared his throat. Sir, sometimes people shout at us. If we're kind to them and they're not kind back, do we still pay double? Rahim's face gentled. We pay attention. Not everyone who walks in is at war with us. Many are at war with their lives. We won't let their storm drown our island. Silence settled like a comforting coat. Outside, a kite lifted, briefly tugging the sky. Rahim stood. Time to seal it. He took out a plain sheet. He wrote in tidy, confident strokes. Branch kindness ledger, rule of double. Any staff member may request small resources that make customers feel safer, clearer, or less ashamed. When a staff member demonstrates a verified act of kindness, the branch will allocate double the cost of that act into the fund to enable future acts. If a customer is kind first, the branch returns the favor twice, through service and one tangible help. No selfies. No slogans. Just service. He signed. Handed the pen to the branch head. She signed. Then Sana. Then Zufar. Then the guard, hand slightly shaking but smile steady. Rahim turned to the hall, lifting the paper just enough for the room to see the title. Let's begin now, he said. Today. A new customer stepped forward. A woman in a faded shawl. Worried eyes. Fingers pinching a worn envelope. Sana waved her to window 3 and, without a word, slid the comfort chair forward. Bismillah, she murmured. Take your time. Rahim watched the woman's shoulders drop an inch. Just an inch. The kind of inch that saves a day. He turned to Zufar. You have a choice, he said quietly. Lead with fear. Or lead with care. Zufar breathed out, something unclenching. I've been leading with noise, he admitted. I'd like to try quiet. Rahim smiled. Then begin with an apology. The kind that doesn't ask forgiveness to come sprinting back with conditions. Zufar swallowed, nodded, and faced the team. I laughed earlier, he said. I laughed to protect my pride. I'd like to protect our people instead. Something softened in the room. The tiles didn't change. The air didn't sparkle. But you could feel a new gravity gently pulling everyone toward better. Rahim slipped the cardholder into his pocket. He turned to the doorway, and stopped. The delivery boy was there, helmet in hand, eyes bright. Sir, he blurted, today. I'll deliver free water bottles to old customers waiting outside. From me. Not because of the fund. Because of my mother. Rahim's eyes warmed. Then we'll pay double, he said. We'll stock cups and add a shade outside. Done. The boy grinned. It made him look 10 years younger. Rahim stepped into noon. The heat of the pavement rose in soft waves. He stood for a moment under the thin branch of a tree, listening. Horns. Vendors. A bell. And underneath, a quieter sound. Like coins in a pocket where no one can see. The soft clink of new habits forming. He looked back once through the glass. Sanaa leaned toward an elderly man, her braid a dark river down her back. The security guard held the door with a small bow. Zufar handed a pen, then let go of it. Fully. For the first time. Rahim smiled to himself. I'll pay you double if you have a balance, he had said. Turns out, the richest balance in the room had never been on a screen. He walked away, the city folding around him like an embrace. Behind him, a ledger began to fill with a currency that never devalues. Now it's your turn, viewer. If you stood at that counter, on either side, what would kindness look like in your hands today?